Hi there guys. In this video I'd like to do a little bit more on the Norinco M-93 Sportsman 22 pistol, the one that I picked up just about a week or two ago. And I thought I'd start off by showing you the packaging which it came in. You can see it's a slip top box here, kind of like an old chocolate box. And we've got this very American looking logo on the front here, and this kind of ties into my speculation that these pistols were these actual pistols were originally meant for the American market, but were in storage for probably about 20 years now since the American embargo on importing most of the Chinese-made firearms. So you can see this box is really, it's pretty weathered and beaten up looking, which would kind of tie in with it being fairly old production. And we have the warranty and instruction manual that comes with it. And this is dated 1991, which once again would lend credence to the opinion that these pistols were made a number of years ago and are just seeing the retail market today. And you can see it's got all the usual stuff that you would have in an instruction manual. It's got the specifications, got a diagram there with the various controls labeled, and of course safety warnings, etc. More warnings. This is kind of funny. Use of reloaded, hand-loaded, or remanufactured non-standard ammunition voids all warranties. Well, that would be pretty hard to do with a 22 long rifle. I don't know of anybody who reloads 22 long rifle. Anyway, the manual goes into the loading of the pistol, the usage, even sight alignment. More warnings, which once again would tend to lead me to believe it was meant for the American market. Transport, cleaning, and storage. Disassembly. It's also got a parts diagram on there, and the warranty statement. And then the box itself with a styrofoam insert. And this is really, you can tell the pistol's been in here a long time. Look at how the preservative is eaten right into the styrofoam. And the pistol itself. Now, I think originally these would have had a spare magazine with them, but I believe the importer has pulled the spare mags out and is selling those separately so as to reduce the selling price by making more money off the spare mags. You can see that the pistol is unloaded. And something which I neglected to mention in the initial video was that this pistol, of course, being a copy of the Colt Woodsman. The Colt Woodsman is a John Moses Browning design, so no surprise that it's a great design, very simple and reliable when it was designed by arguably the greatest mind in firearms invention, so Mr. John Moses Browning. So just thought I should mention that. Let's take the mag out here. I also thought in this video I would do a takedown and reassembly while I had this thing out. And it's a pretty simple pistol to take down. Basically, of course, we wanted to clear the pistol, so we've already had the magazine out to make sure that that's empty. We're going to lock back the slide here, push the slide stop up, lock the slide back. Of course, we can see that it's empty. And once we've done that, it's pretty straightforward to take the pistol down further. You'll notice right up here at the top, there's a little button. It's a takedown button. And this basically captures the recoil spring so that the slide may be taken off without having the recoil spring come uncontrolled. So basically we want to push this slide back as far as it will go, and at the same time we want to push down on this button, push it in quite far. And if we do that properly, you can see that there's no tension left on the slide because the spring has been captured in the slide on the rod. So you can see that there's no tension left on the slide. So that's what we want to see. Oops, I just tripped it there. I have to go hook it back up again. As you can see, this is a fairly fine to push this button down really firmly. There we go. Alright, once we've done that, you'll see that there's a serrated portion here on the back strap. So we'll push that in. You can see that that pops the back strap up. We can take the back strap out. I'll just show you something on the back strap here which is of importance. There's a little hole here, and it's got a plunger inside. And you can see this hole at the bottom here where there's a spring. Basically, this plunger and the spring powers the internal hammer, so that's an important thing. You want to put a drop or two of oil on that occasionally to keep that spring and plunger lubricated. And once we've got the back strap off, we can simply pull the slide directly to the rear. Comes off as easily as that. Now the recoil spring, a screwdriver here to point things out, you notice this little plunger here, and underneath that is the recoil spring. And you got this fine little spring plate here, if we can highlight it right there, and that's what that button that I pushed on the top, that button there pushes this spring out and captures the back of the recoil spring plunger and tube. And you want to make sure that you don't trip that. If you do, the spring will pop back out into this recess. If that happens, you're going to have to push the spring and the guide back in and push the button down to recapture them. So that's a little bit of a pain in the butt. So you really don't want to do that if you can avoid it. So from here on in, the only other thing necessary to do to take the pistol down for routine maintenance is to remove the grips. Simply loosen the screw. I've already got this one basically loosened up, and we'll simply pop, oops, the grips off. The screw just fell out. So there's our right hand grip panel, and of course our left hand grip panel. They're a fairly firm fit in there, and there's the screw that holds them together. There is a small pin here which you have to kind of watch out for. Right here there's a small pin. On this one anyway, it can come a little loose on you. There's one other component which comes out fairly easily for cleaning, and that is the mainspring here, and it's attached. It's also attached to the bottom of the catch for the magazine, and that comes out just like that. So when you've got the pistol taken down to this stage, it's a pretty easy matter to clean the barrel, clean around the breech face, of course around the slide rails, in around the hammer, and so forth. I do not recommend taking off this access plate. You're getting into the trigger linkage and so forth there. There's really no particularly good reason to take that apart. Flush, if you need to, flush anything out inside with some of that gun scrubbing spray you can get, you know, the outer's gun scrubber, or even some brake cleaner, something like that. Once you get the gun good and clean, you can re-lube it and reassemble it. And of course you want to be careful to clean the breech face as well, and underneath the extractor. Those are some pretty important places to clean. One thing I will note about this pistol, some sharp edges on it, which is not surprising for anybody who knows Norinco guns. They tend to have some sharp edges. There's a couple of sharp edges along here where the back strap and the frame combine. That's a fairly sharp edge right there. I believe on the original Colts, this was also a sharp edge on the Colts as well, so just be cautious of that. This is going to vary from gun to gun, of course, because there's, you know, some variance in the quality of these. This particular one has some sharp edges on the rear sight, which have to be a little careful of. So anybody that's familiar with the Chinese-made pistols knows that they tend to come with more than their fair share of sharp edges. Alright, let's put this thing back together again. You can see that it's a simple design. So the first thing to do is we're going to put this mainspring back in, and it goes into the pistol thusly with the curve in this fashion. So it's going to get inserted in like this. Now you want to make sure when you have this in here, if I can see if I can show you, there is the tail of the hammer right there. You want to make sure that the tail of the hammer is resting on top of the spring. You don't want that underneath, or it won't go back together correctly. So once you've got that in place, you can turn this over and make sure the hammer's down. And we're going to put the slide back on. There's only one small trick to getting the slide back on. You have to push this plunger down here. See that small plunger? You want to take and push that down because the breech face will run into that. So with that on the slide, just push that plunger down so you can get the slide over the top of it. Let that go ahead. And with that ahead, we're going to reinsert the back strap. That's pretty easy to do. Just shove it up underneath like this on an angle like that. And then we're going to push down on it until it snaps into place. Hopefully. Always hard to do these things around a camera frame, or camera tripod, sorry. There we go. So we've got that snapped back into place. And with that in place, there we go. You can see that the spring has released and the pistol cycles normally again. And last but not least, we're going to put the grip panels back on. And I suggest that you put the left-hand grip panel on first. Snap it on good and tight. Put your grip screw through it till it protrudes out the other side. Whoops. Always drop something when you're fixing a gun, don't you? Alright. Put that screw back in place. And with that in place, I'm going to put the right-hand grip panel on. And then try to line up that hole. I found if I'd snapped both grip panels on, I had a bit of a trouble getting the screw to line up exactly. So this method seemed to work a little better than the others. And all that remains now is to put the screw back in place. Tighten that up. Okay, the only thing left over after that is the magazine. And as far as I can tell, it's really not easy to disassemble these magazines. Perhaps somebody knows how to take them apart, but it appears to me that the floor plate has been staked or crimped on. And I tried to a couple other things to see if this magazine would come apart. It really doesn't look like it's meant to be taken apart as far as I can see, but it doesn't really matter much because you can clean inside it by pulling down the follower. You can scrub inside there, flush out the inside of the magazine if necessary. The spring is on the inside, put a drop or two of oil on that and work the follower up and down, and that should suffice. So anyway, so a pretty simple pistol, and simple to take apart, simple to reassemble, and so far it's been very reliable. I've put probably 500 rounds through it so far. I haven't had any gun related stoppages. I had a couple of bad rounds of ammunition in those 500, and other than that it's worked excellent. Once again, the only downside to it is really some of the sharp edges that are on it. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. So anyway, a little more detail on the Norinco M-93. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.